everybody, how's it going? This is Nick. Welcome to Zero to Infinity. And this is a show dedicated to uncovering how to create a successful business, working on the outer and inner game, and inspiring those looking to start or scale their business and bring it to the next level and see and uncover how they're doing it today. And today we have Herby Duverné, and I'm just going to, how you doing, Herby?
I'm doing very good. How are you, Nick?
I'm happy to have you on the show. I'm glad we could
Thank you.
I'm just going to read a little bit about you, just give a little bit of background, some context, and it'll really help set up a lot of people watching this right now. So, Herby, you were born in Haiti, and you came to the United States in 1989 seeking better opportunities. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but after a series of jobs, including working as a janitor, Herby set his sights on completing his bachelor's and master's degrees in criminal justice. But he actually didn't stop right there. Herby decided to start a business that is called the Windwalker Group now, that provides physical and cybersecurity solutions that protect and prepare clients for physical and cybersecurity threats, as well as custom learning and training solutions that guide customers to meet a variety of business objectives. Today, his business is nationally recognized as a leader in the cybersecurity sector, in the security sector, as well as cybersecurity. And Windwalker works with companies and federal organizations, including the U.S. Navy, U.S. Army, NASA, Suffolk Construction, Keolis, and many others, just to name a few. Today, we'll also talk about his new venture, Rise Together, which is a minority-owned developer and construction management firm, for lack of a better term, that leverages partnerships with Rise Construction Management to bring equitable growth, opportunities, and to the communities that they work in and in those areas. Herby, how's it going? That was a long-winded introduction, but I think you really need it for your background, and I'm happy to do it.
Thank you, Nick. Very thank you. It was a long one, but thank you.
Yeah, of course. It was long. So I think just setting the groundwork here a little bit, I just want to hear about a little bit of your background. I know in other conversations, other shows and podcasts, you've dived into this a little bit, but I think it's great for our audience to hear a little about where you came from, growing up in Haiti, sort of some of the things that you saw and experienced, and then making that jump and coming over to the United States and what that journey was like for you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So thank you, Nick, and happy to be a part of your show, and congratulations as well. Again, I was born in Haiti, as a young little boy, in a very poor neighborhood that I was living to with my mother, who was a single mom, and my sister. So it was three of us. She was working, I would say, many days, 6 days a week, somewhere around 12 to 14 hours a day, for perhaps maybe $1 a day or some crazy stuff like this. Again, she had, I always from the beginning feel like a sense of hard work, especially seeing how my mom was doing it, and perseverance. Even though it was $1, she never really stopped working. She always keep going, keep working, keep showing up, which is important to show up. She always doing that. But one thing, even though we were very poor, the neighborhood that I was living in, the community was always watching for you, right? The communities watch out for you, even poor people, but they were conscious people anyway that want to make sure that even though they were poor, but they want to make sure that the community and the people in that community are being protected. So I was being watched by all my neighbors watching me throughout the day when my mom left to go to work, and we in the house, and with my younger sister, my older sister, two young kids. My grandmother was living with us at some time just to stay with us. Sometime I have aunts come to live with us just to sort of stay with us while my mom's going to school, going to work. Again, that's the life she has. She never went to school, doesn't know how to read or write. So again, and she was always trying to provide for us, always trying to make sure we go to school, we get the education that we need, but we were poor. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And then living in Haiti was very interesting because I almost felt that because of the limitation in opportunity, it's almost like you felt trapped. You felt trapped that there's nothing you can see. I could not, when I was in Haiti, I could not imagine what my life's gonna be in 5 years, 10 years from now. You know how your kids, or at least my kids, they can envision, say, what, my life, I'm gonna be a doctor, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be that, I'm gonna become this. I was never in a position to envision because of that limitation of opportunity. It was very limited. one hope that I had was someday I will get out of Haiti. I will go to a different country. That was the only hope. So the only hope is one way. It's only one ticket, one exit. So it was it was the way that I was being raised throughout my entire time. And then when I was 20 years old, my dad was living in the United States for many years and decided he wanted to file for a green card for us. So he wanted to do that. So he filed for the green card. And then that process took about 2 years. So he probably started when I was 18 and all the way to when I become 20 years old. 20, that's what, December 26, 1989. That's the time that I came into the United States. That was my ticket, right? My ticket from outside. And then when I came here, I was amazed. I'd never been outside the country. I didn't speak a word of English. At the time, I had just a high school education. I was amazed of the opportunity. I was amazed of how many people there were throughout the country. People were moving. I went to New York first. So I started, migrated to New York, spent about a year in New York, just seeing the opportunities, the movement, the train, the tall buildings, something in me like, wow, I can certainly make it here. I can do whatever I want to do in this country, given the limitless opportunity. I mean, there's so many opportunity in this country. So that's how I kind of felt that. So and that's how and then I learned English because I realized you have to learn the language to sort of behave in this country. All I knew was a little French and Haitian Creole. I didn't know English at all. So I had to understand the English. And then, especially as an immigrant, when you came to this country, culture shock on everything, but more importantly, how you being treated. I mean, it's a very interesting kind of mindset in here. If you don't speak the language, especially in America, you're not seen in the same eyes of everybody else. Like, wait a minute, you don't speak the language, you cannot understand me. You're sort of like a voiceless. So I realized that I need to learn the language so I can have a voice. So that's how I really. And one story I want to tell you, Nick, which is interesting. This is when things really clicked to me why it's important to have a language, but also more important, education. I was at a Roy Rogers restaurant in a line in Brooklyn, Flatbush, Brooklyn. People that know New York know that. And I was in a line in Roy Rogers, and I was in line trying to get some, fried chicken. As I was in line, Nick, I'm not kidding you, and then I could not say what part of the chicken that I need to have. I just could not say that. I would probably think I was trying to get chicken thigh, which is a very hard word to say if you don't have the English as your first language. So It was just very hard for me to sort of say the language. And then there was a long line of people. If you've been to New York, people in New York are very impatient. They're like, oh yeah, say what you want to say. I gotta go. And I was in line. I'm looking at the screen, and I'm like, and the lady who was serving, was the cashier, was very impatient. She was like, "What do you want? What do you want?" And she starts saying those names of the stuff. So, you want a chicken wings? This is what she said first come out of her mouth. And I say, yes. I shake my head, yes. So, and I left. And I said, and I kind of think about it. Again, I was older. I was like 20, almost going to 21. And I was older. I was thinking about it. I was like, wow, if I have a limitation in my language, I will only get things people give me, not things that I want to have. So I will never have a choice. Someone else will have a choice for me. So that's kind of the analogy that I made in my mind from the beginning. I was like, wow, I got to do whatever I can through language, learning the language, education, that I always have my own voice. So if I want to get a chicken thigh, I'll ask for the chicken thigh. If I want to get chicken breast, I'll ask for chicken breast, as opposed to someone offering chicken wings. And then the easiest way at the moment is to shake my head, say, give me that, because this is it. So I realized that, and I continue from that moment to learn the language, learn English as a second language. A year and a half into that, when I arrived, I moved to Boston. Again, part of it's trying to get a better life, get job and opportunity. New York had a lot of job, but a lot of them were retail kind of job, working in the restaurants, all the kind of thing, which I've done many of those. I wanted to get more kind of the next level type of job, working in organization, in store, in organization. So I came here. That's when I end up working I've done first. I started to work at a grocery place first, as a product, person working in the product area of the grocery place. And I went to work for Harvard, as a custodian. So I always tell people I went to Harvard, but that's what it is. I was a custodian at Harvard. So that's when I decided went to school. And then I was taking language in between those time as well, in addition to at Bunker Hill Community College, more English as a second language. Then I say, you know what, I need to sort of go to a 4 years college. And that's when I applied to Northeastern University. And I will tell you, from that moment, my life take off. Once I graduated from Northeastern, my life take off. And I've seen that the key to success in this country, especially as an immigrant, at least what I say in my opinion, is that education piece. Learning the language and education really opened the door for me.
Wow, that's really well put. And so what do you say to the people that are here in this country for a long time, or even born in this country, that they don't seize the opportunity in front of them, or they don't have enough of a comparison, or they come from a position of the world is against me, or this country's against me. It's preset. There's nothing I can do. What advice can you impart to those, that mindset?
Absolutely. It's a very important thing, and Nick, and I've thought a lot about this over the years, understanding that the way that I see the world and the way other people that live in this country see the world or see the United States. So the way I see the United States versus how they see it. And then one thing that I over the years, I sort of decided and sort of pause on. I say, you know what? They have different experience than I do. So I have to come from that mindset. So I cannot ask someone to have my experience or an experience of an immigrant, because an immigrant person have a completely different experience than someone that was born and be in this country. So that's the first thing I have to sort of realizing for myself and give these people a break. So listen, you can't expect people to act the same way that I do, because I'm an immigrant. Mm-hmm. I came to this country hungry. I'm like, where's the chicken? Where's the meat? Let me have more. So I came to this country. A lot of people don't know that because they came from a different experience. So that's number one. Number two is it's important for people to really connect themselves with other mentor to sort of get a different perspective. Sometimes environment give you a different perspective, but sometimes people give you a different perspective. So I think those are the two things. So if you're not able to go out different country, or you were not able to have family to different country, or you not study abroad, so you don't see anything going on outside the world, I think it's important to have mentors. And I've done this. When I was at Northeastern, one of my mentors, Keith Motley, he was a dean at Northeastern University, and he was a chancellor of UMass Boston later on in life. He's a professor there now. He was my mentor at Northeastern. He was a dean there, deans of student life. So that was the guy that's sort of like helping you navigate it, to understand the system, the process. So I went to him when I started Northeastern, and his door was always open, always like, listen, come to me anytime you want, anything you need. Again, I'm freshman. This guy's a dean. It's like he's a doctor. You sit in front of him. He's like a tall giant with like, you can see in all his being the how powerful that he is. And I was one of the people, many of them along the way, that I go and say, you know what? I don't know university in this space. I don't know university in this environment. I need to connect to someone that understand university and can give me a different perspective. So that's how I did it. So I will say for people that don't have that is you always have to seek a different perspective.
Yep.
Because that's how you learn. Because if you only see the world the way that you growing up or the environment that you were brought up, you're missing out on a lot. You're missing out on the most important thing, which is the opportunities. Right? The opportunity could be right around the door. You have no idea of that opportunity unless you seek for advice and contacts and counsel, and where you get people say, you know what, please tell me your experience. So that's how I would like to see it.
Yeah, and it's also opportunity, and having the opportunity to see comparisons, to see how other people in the world live. So you can say, okay, maybe this situation, I can do it this way or do it that way. I remember in my early 20s, one of the biggest changes in my life, again, was the same thing with you, seeing an outside perspective from outside the United States, what we have here, and how amazing it is for us to do things that other people in the world don't have that opportunity to do.
That's right.
And I got to go to Europe and, travel and backpack, and just even then and coming back here, it's like, wow, you just see how we have it. I want to ask you and dig in a little bit about that dean. You said things sort of took off around that time in your life. What do you remember a little bit foundationally what that dean provided you?
I think what the dean provided me, what Dean Motley provided me, is hope. So because when you, again, Northeastern, you know that a lot of people, I mean, it used to be, not anymore. It used to be a Northeastern, the say in your freshman orientation is like, well, look into your left, look into your right. One of you is not going to be there. Right. So it was, probably, again, not anymore. It was a school at the time where 60% of the freshmen did not graduate. And so this, again, that's money. You sign for those loans, and you get in, even you might get Pell Grant and all this kind of stuff, all those financial aid, but they don't cover 100% of your school. And now it's expensive school then, is an expensive school now. So again, it was for me the hope, because knowing that what Dean Motley was really providing to me like, listen, man, you can do it. You can do it. I know you can do it. And not only that hope, but also the person trusted you. The person said, you know what? I got faith in you. You can make it happen. And I thought that's the foundation for me in the school. Because of that, even I have a language barrier and restriction, right? Because again, I had crazy bad accent still at the time, trying to get my way around, understanding what a university is like as Northeastern. Just having someone to sort of be near you and telling you, and then you can always come back and see them. And every time he sees me on campus, I can feel that he has this kind of is genuine trust, thinking, man, I know you're gonna make it. I know you're gonna make it. And because of that, over the year, I developed the confidence that I'm gonna make it. I developed confidence it's gonna happen. I'm gonna go to the school. When I know I got a bad grade in a class, I'm not gonna, quit. I'm gonna go back. I've done that a lot throughout my years at Northeastern. When I got a bad grade, I go and knock the professor's door and say, can I see you for office hours? Is there anything I can do? Can I do anything to earn extra points? I know I didn't do good in this grade. I'm afraid that the way that the semester is going, I might not make it to, the grade may not be good at the end. Tell me something extra and I'll do it.
Right.
That kind of mindset set me to success, throughout Northeastern. It's like, wow, I went to the school, even as an immigrant that just came from this country, graduated and went back at a master's degree and graduated again. So that's the thing that I will say that was a foundation for me.
Yeah, and anyone watching this, please put your comments. We'll read them on screen for Herby to answer. But the power of finding mentors are the people that you're looking up to. There's a sort of a level of respect, and you don't want to let them down in a way, right?
Yes.
And, it's a game changer when you have that sort of relationship with someone that you're looking up to, you respect, you don't want to let them down, and they're able to impart their knowledge and experience on you. And for me, it's been a game changer for my business, just seeking out the people that are doing it at such a high level.
Yes.
And, sort of shaping and molding how the things I do into my business. And it's been.
And I will say, Nick, the example you gave, but I think there's another phenomenal thing about you as an entrepreneur and you as a business person, is you have the understanding that you don't know everything. You have the understanding that, I don't know everything. And also you have the understanding that the possibility is endless. That's the two mindset you have to have. Well, I know I don't know anything. I know there's possibility everywhere. So given those two, you're like, I'm going to find out how this guy's doing. I'm going to find out if I can, emulate this particular concept. I'm going to try this one. Even if it doesn't work, I'm going to try it again, a different way. That mindset fill you in. And I have to tell you, for someone who came from a different country, for the years I was in Haiti, I did not have that mindset at all. That was completely empty. That mindset did not exist at all. I did not have that concept. And then I've been to Haiti a number of times, and then seeing so many people with great ideas and but with limited opportunities, I can see how hungry they are. They're really hungry about getting that concept, the mindset, so they can do what they need to do.
Man, it's really well put. And I like the idea, a lot of people, Tony Robbins is a great example. I seem to mention him all the time on this show, that, try again, try a different way, try a different way until it works, until you get it.
That's right.
Yeah. So let's dive a little bit about your business now, and how that foundation that you developed in Northeastern and forward, that change that happened with you, how did that translate into your business? You're working for, go into it. I won't speak for you.
No. So I after Northeastern graduate, I went to work for a number of corporations, and my last organization that I worked for was Massport. I was a deputy director of security at Logan International Airport. And then I spent 6 years there, and then within that, I also become the director of emergency management. And after 6 years, I usually feel that in almost all my career, I usually spend 5 to 6 years in job, right? 5 years, I see if there's growth potential. Usually I get promoted within those time, and I just see what's next for me. Is there anything else that I can do? Again, if you have my mindset, someone that came from, the place that I was born in Haiti, limited opportunity, and I see tremendous amount of opportunity here, I'm like, this is awesome. I will always find a job. I will always look for a job, and if you behave right, you do the right thing, that's not a problem at all. So that's what I did. So in 2012, I decided, I want to become an entrepreneur. And I have to tell you that there's in one of the things that's in Haiti that you see a lot, people, because of very limited opportunity, they create stuff. They create their own opportunity. So you see people selling everything and anything in the street. I mean, they literally sell anything. You got a pencil, they try to sell it because they try to sell everything because they create their own market. This is what it is. They don't think
innovation.
They don't think about like, the market need more pencil. They're like, I got pencil, I'm gonna try to sell pencil. I got this water, I'm gonna try to sell water. So that was the mindset. So that's sort of what I saw when I was growing up in Haiti, and being in this country, I see there's tremendous opportunity here. So I say, I'm going to do my own work. I'm going to do my own business. I'm going to have my own voice. I'm going to direct my own destiny, right? Because I know as entrepreneurs, you do that. You directed your own, destiny. So where I want to be, what company that I want to have, how many time I want to work, how many hours I want to work, how many employees that I want to have, who that I want to employ to. There's all those decision making that's become my choice. I realize that I can become one, because one is, if you can work hard, which I can do, you have good skill set to make it work, and you're going to rely on people that have done it before you to help you be successful. And that's sort of what I did. So I founded, Windwalker Group, again at that time, or at least, the company used to call a different name. Then we acquired another company, become Windwalker Group at the time, 2012. And we start as a firm that's focused mainly on risk management, security, cybersecurity, and all this kind of good stuff. And then later on, we acquire another firm that's focused mainly on training. So we combine those two, where the firm right now provides about 120 or so people in 8 different states and Guam outside the country, doing work for the federal government, some state governments, also private sectors as well. We tell people the Red Sox is our client. They may not know my company. They all know some of my client. So these are the organization that we have. That's what I did, for the past, since 2012. So this is sort of just being entrepreneurs and working and providing opportunities and creating values, which is what entrepreneurs do. We create values wherever there is. And that's what I've been doing again. And also, about my latest venture a couple years ago on the development side as well. That I'm sure you may have a lot of question about that.
Yeah, I do have some questions. And I also want to jump back a little bit into
Yes.
that moment. So you're working a series of jobs, and it comes to the point where you have this desire, this passion to start something for yourself. And the various reasons you gave, you wanted to create your own destiny, essentially. What was that moment for you can you bring us back to that moment when you said, I need to make this change? And can you just give us sort of the first couple of steps that you did, if you can remember them, that got you running, those first few steps?
I will say, first of all, I must say that even when I was at Northeastern, I had this idea of creating my own company. I had a LLC created before, even from Northeastern, but that was just like a side thing, right? It's like, I call it Duverné, my last name, Evaluation and Security Services. So that was on the side. So never really make it, I always got a full-time job, never really make it something can stand on its own. But so I will say that, so the burning fire was always there in me in terms of to do something. But I will say, I believe, when I was at Massport, I just realized, I guess I will say to you, Nick, is I just felt that burning sensation that I need to do something. I need to do something on my own. Let me just drink some water. That was that sensation that I need to do something on my own. And I know I'm going to be successful doing it. And I know that I have a product or services that I can render to people. And I want to have my own job, my own destiny. So it came clear to me as an entrepreneur, and as most entrepreneurs feel that way, that you can drive this. You don't need people to drive that for you. You can drive that. It's almost like a freedom for me. I just kind of feel free, I feel like, what? I can do my own thing. I'm going to work harder than I ever have before, but I'm going to make it work. So that just came up that I need to do this. And then every circle that I go through, every time I talk to someone, every step of the way, you can feel that burning sensation that something needs to happen. I need to do on my own. So that's what happened.
Wow. And we're going to dive into something in a moment. What were those first few steps? What did you do? Did you hit the street, starting to talk to people, getting connections, and saying, what was that like? What was that experience like? Were you saying, this is what I do? I'm Herby Duverné. I just started this company. How did you get those first few jobs?
So what happened is, I said this is one of the key things. I say when I was at Massport, I left in August 2012. So 9 months before that, I made a decision on my family that I was going to leave my job. I was going to become an entrepreneur. So through my last year at Massport, I was thinking about, while I was doing Massport work, I was also thinking about how I'm going to try to build that up. So work Massport during the day, at nighttime, get home, building my business plan. That's one thing I do. I went literally Google researching, find out how to create business, how to develop a marketing plan, how to do whatever, how to sell. I'll just go out there. I just like point blank, just like Google, learning it as information. The other thing I was doing also before I left that company, I was just talking to people, just connected to contacts, people that have done the same as me, friends, people, acquaintances that I know that left the organization or retired or doing that thing, just to understand that. And they were all over the place, from don't do it, this is the right thing to do. They're all over the place, like, oh, this is hard, this is crazy. And then you take those advice into consideration, right? Everybody give you different advice, and you're like, okay, I got this. I got a piece of this, a piece of that, whole thing of that. And because I was determined that I was going to do my business, I was determined that I was going to be doing my own. And that's what it is. And then I started, register the company. The other thing also too, in my path, I spoke to two gentlemen at the time that was also in the process of trying to do their own company as well. So two of my former partners, they were about to leave their job, and one of them was already out of a job. They were trying to say, okay, how could we put our hands together and try to do this. So that's sort of how the whole thing started. So we started to do this again, literally working during the day, at nighttime, you're trying to work. You're trying to work and building things up. I know I could not do any business while I was still working. So I was trying to get ready, preparing that I can before I get client. And in the moment that I left Massport on that August 12, 2012, I just remember that date, I just get going and let people know that, hey, this is what I do. This is what I can offer to you. Because now I have a better idea of the market, better idea how I can sell what I have, how I can sell the services, which is a very important piece to have, because you also need to understand, I didn't have any immediate family or any family for that matter that was an entrepreneur before. I was like a clean slate. All right, you got to figure this out. I learned from the internet and then talk to friends and people that's done it before, and then try to figure out exactly how to do it. And those are the things. First step is get our website on board, launch our website. The day that I left, launch our website, talk to people. One of the things that I learned from the beginning, Nick, is I spent from August to maybe September, August to October or August, about 2 months or so, I just meet as many people who wants to meet with me as possible and tell them what I do. This is one of the key things that I've done. I just knock every door. Everybody that want to meet with me, I meet with them. I go online on my LinkedIn. I just go and type different people that I know, different people doing X, Y, and Z that either line up with me or doing something, or a company that I want to do business. Doesn't matter what level they are in the organization at the beginning. Certainly right now you try to get the right people so you can get a sale. But at the beginning, I just knocking doors. You want to lunch? Yeah. You want to have lunch? You want to have coffee, or you want to walk in the afternoon? I was out there, and also I attended almost every event you can think of. We used to have an intern working for us. All the intern was doing is put a calendar of all events happening in Boston. As a matter of fact, a gentleman, I forgot the name of the company, I think a Boston calendar, created something like this afterward. There was nothing like this before. But that person created something that is like what's happening in Boston, or Boston after dark, something like this. So that intern only was to go to all website, all different organizations, see, okay, this event, that event, the cost of it, we'll put a cost. So we have an actual calendar saying, okay, there's 5 events here. One is free, one is $25. This is how you register. So I used to go when I know I don't have any other things to do. My goal is click on those, like register and show up. So I end up meeting so many people along the way. Those are the few first steps that I did.
So what you're saying to me is that you didn't build a website and sit in your house and wait for the business to come to you. That's not what happened. I know. You went out there and tried to meet as many people. And yeah, that's you're being proactive and you're making it happen.
Oh, you have to. I honestly believe you have to. Yep. You also have to understand that this is hard at work. People, until you created, you get to a level where you have your own buzz, right? You have your own name recognition. Every company knows, everybody knows, because it's a number game, right? You want as many people as possible, because you're a small company that can think about the services that you offer and can say, oh, I know Herby has X company. I can call Herby and find out if he can provide that services. Oh, a friend of mine tell me about this services. I can connect 1 and 2. But if you're out of sight, you're gonna be out of mind. I mean, that's just the bottom line. People don't do that. We even to this day, even though we're a mature company, we still have that deep sense of, both of my firm, deep sense of all the time we're knocking the door. I always have companies, people that I'm meeting. Some of them I'm meeting the first time, some of them I'm meeting over and over again, creating relationship with people so people get to know you. Because at the end of the day, if you offer a good service, people knows you, they tends to give you the deal. They will give you the opportunity, because not only know you can do the job, but they also created a bond with you, which is important in business.
Yeah, and you quickly realize in business and entrepreneurship how quickly people forget when things are moving so fast. Life just gets faster and faster between phones, internet, life, kids, family, all that stuff. How important it is to stay top of mind and to constantly be meeting people to make
Yes,
it happen.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I have to tell you that we even get better at this thing during the pandemic. During the pandemic, we get much better at this meeting people because it was easier to do. It's harder if I email someone, a year and a half ago and say, let's meet, the person, oh, geez, I have 11 o'clock. I'm meeting with my boss 10 to 11. And Herby's only want to meet 11 to 12 o'clock. I got to meet someone else. There's no way that I can go outside to meet with him. I mean, it's all those circle. You're like, oh, that can happen and you got to drive to the place. Now it's like, okay, let's meet. Not a problem. Let's set up a Zoom call. Okay, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. So we increased the volume of call and customer touch point and new client touch point throughout the pandemic. Because we're like, this is great. I can have like 2 calls in the same place that I am. Boom, 12 o'clock, one, 12:30, another one. And I mean,
there's no travel time. Yeah. There's no travel time. There's no
travel time. That's right. I don't have to drive somewhere to and from. And so, so that's really helped us a lot. And I hope that, my people and my team, and also certainly myself, I'm going to keep doing that, take advantage of that as well. Not just the in-person, but also those video conference calls.
As a process in your business, just keep
as a process.
That's wonderful. So when you were 9 months leading up to the date that you decided to leave, and you were working behind the scenes at night, whenever you could, with a family on that new business venture, did you have that date locked in that you were going to leave and you were going to start immediately? Was it just
I have that date locked in, yes.
Okay.
I have the date locked in. I say, I will be leaving in August. I got the date locked in.
Yeah.
I got the date locked in. I say, 9 months prior to that, I spoke to my wife and we just have our second baby at the time. I say, I'm going to leave my job. I know that whatever the saving that I have throughout the job, my 401k, financial people always tell you that's a bad thing to do. But as an entrepreneur, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Let's take all that money. This is the money that's going to help me sustain me if things doesn't work out the way that I envision them to work out. So that's what, supported me. Again, those are real things you have. You got to cut your expense. You cannot do those things you used to do anymore. So all of those decisions was made 9 months prior to that. I know the month that I was going to leave. I know when I was going to give my boss, my month notice, which is I gave them a month notice. I said, well, at that time I'm going to say I'm going to leave on the 12th. So they're like, okay, so I prepare, the transitions and everything else, but also was ready to move to something different.
And what were you feeling at that time as the date was drawing closer and closer and closer? And you're like, man, am I really going to do this? I've been working so long in the field. I'm going to be jumping off my own. What were you feeling at that moment? What was that moment like? Only because I want to get this point across to the people watching this. We have
absolutely. There's all, you have to have some level of fear. You have to have, it would be impossible for me to say, well, I wasn't scared, I wasn't fear. You have to have some level of fear, but the mindset of success is greater than the fear. That's how I look at it. So the mindset that I'm gonna be okay, the hope was much greater. I will say maybe 65-35, right? 35 was the fear. Every so often you're like, oh, is that the right thing to do? Oh man, I have a good job. What's going on, Herby? I already give my notice. It's too late now. I can't go back to it. But then I will have those level of fear at time, but overwhelmingly, I will feel like, oh, there's all this opportunity. I'm gonna meet with this person. I'm gonna do business with this organization. I'm gonna work hard. I'm gonna do this kind of thing. I'm gonna do all of those good things that sort of get your blood pumping. So that's what happened. So yes, I did have fear. I would not say like, oh, it was like, oh, let's move to a life like nothing's going on. Because as I said, my second and last boy was just born. So I was like, okay, my wife is a teacher, it's like we have 2 income family. So that was kind of like, oh yeah, it was not an easy kind of like, But I also feel that, Nick, that's what keep me on my toes. That's what keep me like, if he was like, oh yeah, just a laissez-faire, I mean, you have nothing, if there's no fear, nothing to make you feel nervous. Oh, geez, there may be a little failure here. I can't fail, a little doubt. If you don't feel that, you will not be successful. So what's really drive me is like, oh, okay now. All right.
Yeah.
Now I already give my month notice. Guess what, Herby? Get going. Start walking. Let's move. So yeah, so that's how I feel.
Man, you just brought up a great point that, Robert Kiyosaki. Do you know who Robert Kiyosaki is? He's the
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
I do.
He's mentioned more than a few times about how he's very wealthy and he puts a certain amount of money away that he can't touch. And he only has a small amount that he can use.
Yes,
because he wants to sort of like stimulate that creativity and stimulate that idea of like, oh, I got to do something. That sort of that fear, that drive, and that sort of resonates with this story because it seems like that's how you set it up by design.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And I have to tell you, I seen every month that money that's set aside is going down. This was. Oh yeah.
You must be an entrepreneur. Yeah.
That's right. I was like, okay, good. You from the beginning, you say I have 9 months of mortgage, right? You're like, I have 9 months of mortgage. Every month that go by, that month of mortgage has become less. 7, 6, 5. You're like, whew, I gotta fill that up. If I don't fill it up, there's gonna be a problem. So yes, absolutely, Nick. I agree with you 1%. You have to have that sense of like, listen, that fear. And even it's funny you say that because to this day, even though we are a successful organization, mature company, has been around for many years now. I've been an entrepreneur for almost like 8 years now. I still have that. I still wake up in the morning and say, okay, yes, I just won this contract, but this contract has a term. This contract is not a contract for life. It's a 5 years contract or it's a 3 years contract. It's a 1 year contract. It's a project. Whatever it is, there's a time that this contract, or even if you feel you got it, I'm feeling like, oh, this client that I have a relationship with, he or she will not be around at some point. He or she may move to a different position. He or she who's my sponsor, the person that said, you know what, Herby, I'm going to take care of you because I know you can do that work. That person may move. The organization may change direction.
Oh, yeah.
All of those things happen. So when I wake up in the day, regardless the number of contracts we have or we just won, I always have the sense that, okay, there's an end to this. There's an end to this. I gotta work. I gotta make a phone call. I gotta get more clients to the list. I gotta figure something out. I gotta do better. So absolutely, that's go with me even to this day, every day.
That's wonderful. And what do you say to the people that are sort of, there's one mindset like you where you say, you know what, we're going to do this and we're going to do it 100%, 110% all in. We're going to go from the job into the business, the entrepreneurship. And there's some people that say, I want to have like one toe in the work and the one toe in the entrepreneur, in the business side of things. Yeah. I know where you stand, but can you tell me?
I have to tell you that I have a hard time understanding that mindset. Because that's one option that I had. Throughout my career, by the way, as an entrepreneur, I met different people that's doing the same thing that I do, or thinking, or that have done the same thing that I've done, where I call people, I was going to leave my sport. I say, hey, listen, I know you're entrepreneurs. How do you do it? So I still do that. I'm very much always open to those phone calls. People will call me and say, hey, Herby, I want to pick up your brain on something. And then they will give me that scenario. They will say, hey, I'm thinking about keeping my job, doing this thing part-time. I don't get it. I said, listen, I am sure that you might be successful. I'm sure that you have all those things figured out, you're going to be successful. But I truly believe that when you're thinking about scaling a company, scaling the business, you need all your being in that organization, at least from the few years into the company. It's not, again, way more people smarter than me, Nick. So I'm sure they can figure those two out. I could not do that. I could not keep a full-time job, a family, and try to run a company full-time, at least at the beginning. Yes, right now I have 2 companies right now as a CEO. So it's different. I have team, I have staff. I'm all about strategic. This is possible. But the idea of trying to build a company, where you have to knock in doors and meeting with people, how are you going to do that? I mean, I got in the past, I will have an email from someone say, hey, Herby, how was with Jimmy? Jimmy say he would love to meet you. Do you have time 10 a.m. tomorrow? I can't say, well, I'm working. Well, I can only meet you at 4 p.m. or let me take a day off. Let me call sick at my job. I don't know how people do that, because I think one of the things I think people love is, especially if you're a small business, especially as a company, is client or prospective client love the fact that someone is making them a priority. You jump. Well, my client email us in my firm. I tell people, when our client email us or call us, we respond right away. We don't have to have all the answer, but we respond. It was like, hey, I get your call, acknowledging, I'll get back to you. I understand what you're asking for. Let me give some thoughts. Could we you have to respond. People throughout my career feel that very much appreciative of the fact that you make them a priority. And that's how they trusted you with their own business. I mean, it's not, people, it's a relationship. I always feel that the business that I'm in, it's about relationship. It's like, oh, wow, I like Nick. Nick is very good. We're going to create a relationship together. And that's what I've done. So throughout this relationship, you got to show them they are their priority. So I could not understand that, Nick, in terms of how people could do this. If people can, more power to them. I just have a hard time understanding how that can be done. On the other hand, I know it's not an easy thing to leave a comfortable job or steady income to try to become an entrepreneur. It's not a comfortable thing. Is that possible? Absolutely. Without a doubt. But it's not uncomfortable. And I have to tell you, I have lived those uncomfortable times throughout my career, especially at the beginning. Very uncomfortable, feeling like, wow, I got to make payroll. I may not be able to make payroll. and then usually the option is, you have to make payroll. I mean, and then you have your inside saying like, and then your brain go to overdrive, try to think about what to do, what transaction, where you get the money, what bank to call, how do you get the money to make payroll? Because the choice is you cannot not making payroll. You have to make payroll. So I've lived those uncomfortable times. I understand it's not comfortable. On the other hand, I don't know how someone can do it.
Yeah. And, the lifeblood of any business really is going out there and getting the sales. You can have your own island, which is a perfect looking business from all angles. But if you don't have, a process in place for meeting new clients, getting them in the door, and then providing the customer service where you're, like you said, you're prioritizing the customer, all else is going to fall down like a house of cards.
Absolutely. This is so important, Nick. It's so important to do that, to keep the customer in mind. You have to get it. And that was our priority. I mean, the idea of knocking doors were to sell. I mean, we were trying to get people to buy the service that we can offer, and then we got many of them after that. But that's to tell you this concept worked, and I'm sure for you as well, which is you're knocking doors, you talk to people, you preach them, you tell them, you tell them what you do, you pitch them your ideas, what you got to do, and then you want to get to a yes.
Yeah, it's been transformational for my business to actually say, wait, we actually have to do the work.
Right, that's the hard part, right? That's like, oh, okay,
yeah,
you got to do the work right now. Yep.
And I like the perspective of how I'm getting a sense of this perspective. I think we share a little bit about this. You really only go down this path once in your life, and you don't want to wake up when you're 85 years old looking back and going, what if I had never taken that chance and just jumped in the way life afforded me to do it? What if we never seized that opportunity? What would our lives have looked like if that had never?
Oh, gee, I could not picture what my life would look like about being an entrepreneur. I mean, I feel that being an entrepreneur fulfilled me, as a person, as a leader, as a human being, as a philanthropist, as all the things that I enjoy doing. This is very important. So that's allowed me, even as someone who love and enjoy being time with my family. Being an entrepreneur allowed me to enjoy time with them, being with them when I want to, being at their game, really managing the schedule, managing my time. So I could not imagine what a life will be if I wasn't doing that right now. I mean, I just couldn't imagine that. That's why that burning sensation was in me for many years, that I got to do my own thing. I got to do my own thing. One day I got to do my own thing. And when I feel the skies open up and say, you know what, I think that might be your chance. And I just say, you know what, I'm going to do it. And then make a decision. I mean, that's the other thing too, because that's the other part too. I felt that even though in retrospective, I feel like, well, I think I started my business at the right time, but every so often I realized, man, I could have started way earlier. I could have started way early. I could have started way early. I could have started right from college, when I was all young and knocking doors. I was double. But it is what it is. It's life. Yeah. But I think what was important is a decision had to be made, right? Because there's a lot of people, they have great idea. They want to become an entrepreneur, but there's a decision is not being made. Just like it took me many years before I say, today is the day. I'm going to go. I'm going to give myself some time. I'm going to go 9 years and I'm going to jump and I'm going to work hard. And at the end of the day, if that doesn't work, I'll look hard to find another job. Certainly it's not going to be the same job, but I'll find another job. I'll find, it doesn't matter what job it is. I can be, chief cleaning officer at a bank, it doesn't matter. I will get a job.
Yep.
That was the mindset.
Yeah. People watching this, no matter what, look around you and find those people. They're not going to let you fail. We're not going to let you fail.
Right.
There's nothing to be afraid of.
That's right. And you're so right saying that, because so many people, I mean, I've gotten so many opportunities. People just want to give me a chance.
And they like to be, yeah.
And then part of it is people want you to be successful. A lot of people say, I want to give you a chance. I mean, I've done that even now in our firm, where we say, we might find a company that's new to a product or new to services. They up and come in, but we say, you know what? I want to give you a chance. I'm going to allow us to do X, Y, and Z for, even though we can go to the bigger guy, you're like, you impress me. I'm going to bring you into the table. I'm going to give you a chance for that. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah. And the only way you're going to find those opportunities and find those people that are willing to give you a chance and understand where you're coming from is to get out from behind the desk and get out there and start meeting people, talking to people, give them your card, do whatever you can to get yourself in front of them.
Absolutely.
Man, we're going to dive into Rise in just a moment, but I want to ask you a question. You told me the story about your first year in business, how tough it was and how it was a grind, and all the stuff that entrepreneurs that you hear about that we've all experienced. But you made $49,000 the first year, and then somehow you went to $900,000.
That's right.
Year. Is that correct?
That's correct. I'm surprised you remember that. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. In 2012. The year 2012, we finished our book, $47,000. In 2013, we did $970-something thousand in business. It is correct. It absolutely correct. And then ever since, we've been over millions of dollars of business ever since. Yes, it's I felt that, Nick. It was the grinding. I mean, we were like, knocking doors and walking. One of my two partners at the time were with us. We were knocking doors nonstop and doing things. And, any business someone want to give us, we figure out the way to do it. If someone say, if we do 10, 20% of the work, and then the person offer us 100% of it, we find someone who does the 80%. We connected with them. We do the 20%. The person do 80%. So we've done that over and over time. We got deals all the time. We partner with people. A lot of partnership, by the way, a lot of partnership. Everybody we see, all the entrepreneurs, if I meet with you, Nick, and you do video, my mind automatically will say, oh, Nick has an expertise in video. Maybe my training, if I have a training contract, we can partner together. He provide a video, we provide instructional design, all this kind of good stuff. I always think that way. We've done this in many, many years with many, many partners. And that's how but we did go from that point to all the way to $900,000.
And so encapsulating that thought, that you just were able to get out there, meet the people just over and over again and grind away in making sure that you're completing the jobs and keeping the customers supported.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You bet. Yes.
It's so simple. I mean, it's
yeah,
a simple idea.
Yeah, and we hire people. I mean, the other thing also too is, I mean, just to sort of make that clear, it wasn't $900,000 of job that I was doing.
Of course,
it wasn't $900,000 of revenue. We hire people. If we, I mean, we want to scale. The idea is trying to scale. So if we, even though as a security expert, many times in my firm, maybe 5% of the time I will do the work directly. If the client specifically say, I need Herby to say Y and Z, but I'm behind the scene directing, make sure people are doing the job. But I will say that, we hire people, we bring people opportunities. I mean, that's just the way, I think that's the way that works. One of the mistake that I see a lot of new entrepreneurs will do, they will get a contract, let's say a $200,000 contract. And they will say, well, this is $200,000 contract that I have expertise in doing. I'm only going to do the work myself. It takes them 6 months to do a $200,000 job. For me, when I started, I said, no, $200,000 job, I'm going to hire 3, 4, 5 people to do the job with me, for me, as my, part of my team, right? And then I'm going to go out there and get 5 or 6, 7, 8 more $200,000 work. So I was always doing that. Never in the mindset say, okay, let me sit and do my work. So I've known friends with a lot of entrepreneurs that's been doing security consulting longer than I am. That's do those kind of things. They just take the work, do the work, and go back and look for more. I'm like, no, let's bring more people to the fold. Let's go get more. So yeah,
you're still a subcontractor at that point. If you're you're still a freelancer at that point, unless you're able to take that opportunity and scale it. And
then if you don't do that, you're not going to scale, because by the time you into that work with this client, it's already over. 6 months on, now you have to do another 2 months, try to learn people, get to know employees. I mean, it's not an easy thing. I know a lot of people that do that. I'm like, I mean, I could not do this. I realized the best way for us to do it is to just out there and do our thing.
Get done.
Business.
Yeah, absolutely. And a big component of this that I think a lot of people miss is that it's their own baby. They want to do perfect work, but the client really values stuff that's done and delivered, on time or even early, so they can facilitate what their objectives are.
Yes. But also the other thing also is to train people to do the work. I mean, not a single time our eyes were off the fact that we wanted our people to do the best possible job. Mm-hmm. Right. So even as the entrepreneur, as the owner of the firm, when my people internally doing the work, I still have some time to look it over to make sure that the work is being done at the satisfaction of the client. Because usually I'm the one who's talking to the client. I know what the client needs are, so I can certainly coach the person if they didn't do it, or when they give the product, I can review it. It's okay, I think you should add this and this and that. So we've done that on many years, many times. Even to this day, that I will be behind the scene with my team and say, okay, this is what the client is asking. This is what I'm hearing that client is asking. This is what I think we should do. So you still do that. But the idea of you doing the work all the time, that's not a good thing to do.
Yeah, no way. Time is precious. And scale and time they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So yeah, this has been great so far. Let's transition into Rise Together. And I'd like to hear from you and sort of setting it up and the impetus for this and what's behind this for you.
So this is awesome. So 2 years ago, I decided, I've been very interested into development, real estate development. I think it's a very interesting kind of market, to sort of be in, listen to, understand the people how that work. So over time, I've been putting money in different projects here and there. And then I also, over the years, one of my former client, that was become a good friend of mine. And then I've been talking to him 2 years back and say, you know what, if one day you leave in your organization, you want to do your own thing, we'd love to do something together. And that person actually mentioned to me, oh yeah, Herby, yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to be leaving the firm that I'm in now. I'm going to do my own thing on the construction management side. I said, well, and then I know you're interested in the construction development. We'd love to do something together. And then 2 years back, I told him, hey, listen, man, when he's ready, I say, I'm ready. let's do it. So I founded, along with him and another partner, three of us, we founded Rise Together. The really mindset of this thing, and again, this is friends and people that I'm very close to and people that I understand their story. My other two partners, their story really line up with my stories. You know, the story that I grew up. One of my partner grew up in a project in East Boston. You know, become a carpenter, and all of a sudden become a big, you know, executive within this organization that he was working. So we always line up from a mindset perspective, from a culture perspective. So I knew that I know that we will do great together. So our mindset was always about how do we ensure that more people participate in this opportunity, you know, especially when we talk about wealth creation, right? Especially talk about wealth creation. You know, one of the things that I notice a lot, you will find someone, let's say we have an example of a 3-generation mechanic shop, 3-generation. You know, the person, you know, perhaps in the 60s and 70s, think about retirement. Son or daughters may not be interested in being a part of being a mechanic. They have their own mindset, their own thing they want to do. One aspect of this scenario is the person will sell this land with the mechanic, make a quick bucks for saving, and that's it. We think, what if we have a different mindset? What if we say we partner with this owner of this mechanic place, we give them a portion of their land value, the other portion they invested into our development, they will have money coming to them forever until we sell this thing. This is the concept. This is basically the mindset. The mindset we go around looking for people that have this mindset. Although we do all the development, other people will say, you know what, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I just want to sell. We got that. But many times we came from the mindset saying, you know what, we want you to be a part of this. We want you to be a part of the deal. We want to do that. And my partner and I, we understand our construction work. We understand our construction work. We can make the number work where we have the owner of the land stay in the deal, and we build wealth creation generation after generation. Because that's one thing sometimes, especially Black and brown community, where they might own the land and they just sell it. And that's it.
Right.
Once you sell it, everybody's on their own. But if you can conserve it and keep it, and then you have a 2-level house where the zoning change will allow you to do 6 stories, you know, with 20 something, you know, space or 50 unit, that's big deal.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome thing. So that's how we rise together, create it. And that's what we're doing right now. We are doing this kind of work, you know, in all part of Boston, outside Boston, where we are looking for opportunity. We also have big opportunity. We do have big opportunity of land that we acquire, control, so we can do big thing on. But we also have this kind of mindset. So deep down inside, that kind of firm that we are. And that's why we have Rise Together. That's how my two partner and I, we put that firm together. And that's what we're doing right now.
Wow. I love that story. And you know what? I have a video that I want to play, and we'll dive into that. And this really lays it out really well.
Absolutely.
I was born in Haiti as an immigrant coming to the United States when I was 20 years old. I remember the day, December 26, 1989. I was a custodian at Harvard. I went to school and I started at Northeastern University. I've always been an entrepreneur. I started my first business here in Boston. When I saw what Jim Grossman and Brian Anderson were doing with Rise Construction, I knew I had to get involved. We started talking about launching a development arm of Rise. And that's how Rise Together was formed. Right from the start, everything felt naturally. I saw our values were aligned, working hard, being innovative, and following through on what you say. Also, I just felt comfortable partnering with a Boston-based team with real roots in the city. Jim is from East Boston, and Brian is from Dorchester, and that made me feel like we were all vested in the community. We're not afraid to be different. We know what it feels like to be on the bottom. And because of that, we're not afraid to make the right step, to be bold, to make a difference in other people's lives. The culture that I want is a culture of inclusion, is a culture of community, is a culture that makes sure that all of us rise together. My goal is to bring opportunity to the community. That's what I think is so attractive to me about development, because you're really trying to empowering community. You're really trying to support in community. You're trying to create community sometimes in places that there may not be anything. I want my legacy in the community to become that, wow, Herby really did it. And I did it with them, not just by myself.
That's great. This seems like the perfect combination of both entrepreneurship and giving back, sort of
Yes.
the whole premise of what you've been describing our entire conversation.
Yes, absolutely. You know what? I have that deep, not connection, that deep belief that when you get opportunity, again, I grew up, I get more wise to understand that I don't get to those doors. I don't get to the table because I'm the smartest, because I am the best. I get to the table, but I also need to understand that I need to let other people in as well. So I have that deep belief all the time, thinking that at least the level that I get in my life right now, thinking that, well, it's not just about me. How do we make sure we include more people into that? You're absolutely right. So I clearly feel strongly that this new venture, this organization, this company Rise Together will provide that, will be that organization that's really make this thing happen. Because we know, especially when we talk about development, it's an inside game. It's a game that's look mainly white male. It's a game that's not a lot of people in it, but also it's a market, is an opportunity, it's a game that creates tremendous opportunity for generation to generation. So how do we make that happen? That for all of us together. How do we make that happen with my partners, the players that I'm going to work with, the landowners we're going to work with, the subcontractors we're going to work with to make this deal happen? How are we going to make this happen? So I'm like super excited about this, because I finally realized there's a way that, not finally realized, I always know that, but I think it's become clear to me. There's a way to be a capitalist where you love the idea of entrepreneurship, but also at the same time bring more people around the table, more people to be successful with you. So that's what we've been doing. And that's been tested. I mean, we're doing great. We have a lot of deal on the table, a lot of opportunity work we're doing because of that. We already know that, and people start trusting us. So it's like, wait a minute, yeah, of course. I mean, that scenario that I gave you about the mechanic shop, why not? Yes, let me do that. I'm in the games, you understand the community. And the more importantly is, as we do those development, and we do it together with people that came from the community, they are invested in the community. They are also known by the community. The community knows them. They understand them. The process of getting those permit is much easier than all the.
Interesting. And it probably at some level, they're also being enlightened about what the possibilities are. And like you just said, why not?
Why not? Interesting you say that, Nick. It's so interesting you say that. And I have to accentuate that. One thing that I learned about development is that mindset of possibilities is even emphasized 10 times. You remember early on, I talked about just the idea thinking, wow, look at all those opportunities around. But I think the possibility is even greater, because what I've realized is when you are in development, you think about possibilities. You try to think about something that's not there. You try to envision something that big, right? Many times you're like, oh, I have a small lane over here. Oh, I can put like a 20 stories at that small lane over there. I mean, you really have to think about possibilities, right? If you're still in the same mindset, well, it's a small lane here, it's small, I'm going to think small, I'm going to do something small. Development doesn't happen that way. People find things and say, oh, they will find a place that has no houses, right? They will create a community there. And then they will bring the Starbucks of the world. They will bring the Stop and Shop, the offer. They will bring everything into this and create a community. That's what happened at the seaport.
Oh, right. Right. For anyone watching this, the seaport there was pretty much when you came here, yeah, there's nothing out there pretty much.
Nothing there.
There's nothing there. And then you drive down, Seaport Boulevard, and it's just like a brand new city. Beautiful
city.
buildings, restaurants, movie theaters,
Yes.
shopping center.
Yes.
It's all upscale.
And that's the power of possibilities. The power of possibility is to imagine this thing. And that's what development is such a wonderful things to do, because that's what I'm so lucky and happy to partner with my two partners, because and both of them are also the same way as I am. Their imagination is so big, Jim and Brian. I mean, they just like imagine things. And then me, that's not came from the construction realm. And I will sit down, I'm like, are you serious? It's like, yes, let's try it. Let's do it. Let's build it. Let's put a plan together. Let's call an architect.
Wow.
And then we are working with also architect firm that's also feel the same way. Oh yeah, I think we can put a building 5 stories here, 20 stories there. We can do a whole thing. We can put parks. We can do that. That power of possibility is awesome. And that's what I love about development.
Yeah, just infinite possibilities are out there if you're willing to just say, not if you can or if you can't or when or I'll get to it. It's how can I do this? How can I do it right now?
Yes. I can think about it. Let's think about it. Let's think big. Let's think big. Let's see how big. I mean, I think when you think about it, as to some extent, the people that were developing the seaport, the landowners, the people that sort of get access to those land, they had this possibility. They were like, okay, I could imagine a small little city with tall buildings and restaurants and business and people working. Everybody want to move there. Every company want to have that's what it is.
Yeah.
Before you have anything. All it was, because I used, working for Massport, who was overseeing a lot of those land, I used to go there and see there was nothing there.
For years and years.
For years. And someone's like, aha. So that's the thing that developer do all the time.
Yeah, and it comes down and boils down to just understanding that what's in front of you is the most amazing opportunity for you in that moment. Just turn the lens of your glasses around a bit and see that opportunity, optimism, and just look in that direction. There's a perfect example, like you're saying, the land out there by the seaport, there's nothing out there until someone said, okay, unlimited opportunities there. This also brings back a story. I don't know if you've ever heard this. The guy that broke the 4-minute mile, I think it was in the 20s to the early 30s. Did you ever hear this story?
No.
There was a man that was trying and trying and trying. He said, I'm going to break the 4-minute mile. Everyone thought he was crazy. Everyone said it could never be done. It could never be done, right? And then finally, he broke the 4-minute mile. It's on record, and he actually did it. You know what happened next? It was like 8 more people that year broke the 4-minute mile.
Did it as well.
It's like,
the power of possibilities.
That's right. The power of possibilities. You never know what's going to happen until you actually just jump in there and allow yourself to accept it and just go for it.
That's exactly right. And then to some extent, being entrepreneurs is that, right? Many of us as an entrepreneurs, especially if you create a new product, especially if you're developing something new, it's just the power of possibility. Say, okay, well, I'm just going to do an app. And that app's going to look like a dispatching for cab companies or for private cars. It's like, okay, it's like, let's create the apps and let's make sure that we got enough people to link to the app. The next thing you know, this app is $1 billion company. So power of possibilities.
Yep.
And then for years, people that own cab, people that have cabs, thinking that all you have is a cab. The only mode of transportation is cab or private limousine.
That's right.
Nobody think about why don't I turn your car to something that everybody can use, and you do it at time that you want to. All the time you don't want to, don't do that. And I'm going to give you an app to do that, and you're going to be successful, and that company will become billions of dollars company. It's a power of possibilities.
It's incredible. Honestly, if there's any other episode that you're going to miss from this show, you have to watch the show because of just the understanding of how when you break things down, it's possible to make it happen.
Yes.
Really bring the idea of where you came from, the whole aspect of, I have this pen. What can I do with this pen? Not let me sell this pen. What can I do with this to really make it happen? And you're really bringing it full circle here just demonstrating that the sky's the limit. If you're going to shoot for the stars, keep going. You might land on the moon.
Keep going. Keep going. I agree with that.
Yeah. And, you know, I want to ask you, I want to dive in here. We've covered so much ground, but I heard through the grapevine that you've been vegan. You've been.
Yes. Yes. I've been.
Yep. As a fellow vegan of 17 years, I want to hear your take on.
Well, you are.
Yes.
Oh, awesome. No. So
17 years, almost 18 years.
17 years.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I've been vegan I'm going to year number 4 now.
Okay.
No, so, you know, I think it's a few years back, 4 years ago or close to 4 years ago, I was just thinking about for health reason that, you know, this food, and I needed to pay more attention to the food that I put in my system. I needed to sort of do that. I can't live in a life where you just eat anything and everything and then just to be satisfied. And after you do that and you feel not easy, you feel sluggish, I just felt that I need to make a change. And then in talking to friends and also my family and I saw one person. I was with my wife in a soccer tournament, basketball tournament for my son. And all of a sudden, this gentleman that walk in and he's look like, oh, great. I'm like, oh man, I was like, what happened? Oh no, stop eating meat. I'm like, what? Stop eating meat? Right. I said, oh yeah, I look good. I feel good. And I told to my wife, I said, you know what? I think I'm going to do that. She's like, what do you mean? I mean, my whole life I've been eating meat, and I give you the story about the Roy Rogers, restaurant. I've been eating meat, and it's all meat. So I said, I'm going to do it. And then what I did, I said to myself, I'm going to do it for 1 year. I'm going to do it for 1 year. I'm going to see how I feel. I'm going to see if I can sustain that. And then if for some reason I can sustain it, then okay, that change. But I'm going to do it for 1 year. Mm-hmm. And then it's year number 4 now.
Holy cow.
So
I did it.
I set a date, by the way, just to let you know, just like I did for my job, I set a date. I said, okay, I'm going to do it. You know, we had a vacation outside the country during the Christmas time. I say December 20 something when I came back. You know, my son, my oldest son, he and I, we got a pizza the night before. Mm-hmm. And I said the next day, that will be my last pizza, cheese pizza. So we got a nice pizza. I think it was like a pepperoni pizza. So we ate that pizza that night with my son, my oldest son. I said that. So I'm going to do it for a year. So I spent a year, spend the time, and ever since, and I enjoy it. And again, power of possibilities. You know, the fear before was like, oh, what I'm going to eat. What is the food? Oh, this is going to be hard. And I can feel the constraint at the beginning, like the fact that there's not enough. You thinking, because you are using to the same mindset instead of thinking about the power of possibility. Mm-hmm. That food has to be a certain way, certain size, certain type, and then all of a sudden I realized, wow, there's so many options as a vegan. People don't seem to get this. I'm like, there's so many options as a vegan.
Anyone else know, Herby? This is our little secret.
I know. I was like, this is an option everywhere. I mean, there's so many options as a vegan. And then, even things like, again, I was traveling a year after that, and I read something from a vegan website saying, hey, if you travel all the time, and when you travel and do that, when you go to a restaurant, if there's nothing vegan in the restaurant, just ask them to make you something. Just ask them to make you something. Yep. Just the chef to make you, or the person on the back. Yep. I have to tell you, I have tasted and eat the best food ever, because people was eating the burgers, the steak, the shrimp, and I was like, whoa, what is this? Because one thing I realized, and the person even said, a lot of time the chef or the cook who's been cooking the same food all the time, they can't wait to like, really? A guy will just eat something that I make? I was like,
exactly. So they're like excited to something off the
something off the menu, it's like I'll make the same things over and over again, same steak flip. I was like, oh, he wants to, and they put their own little flavor into it. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, because it's so I travel, look at the possibility. I went to Haiti, I look at possibility, but I have to tell you that one of the things being a vegan is I realized I have so many food choices I didn't know I had before.
And a lot more years to live choices too. On top of that,
A lot more years to live choices.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I became a vegan because of health reasons, stuff like that. I have no problem with my friends eating meat and stuff like that. But for me, everything you do in your life translates into how what you do beyond that, like what you do in your day-to-day operations with your business. So everything you put in your body, it affects your brain. What you're putting in your stomach, there's like this brain gut cycle, and it really helps to make sure that you have the right fuel in your system, particularly for an entrepreneur that's dealing with stress, unpredictability, things like that. Give yourself the best foot forward, and you just give yourself unlimited possibilities of what your potential is.
It has been, Nick, I gotta tell you, it has been a game changer for me for the past 4 years. Game changer, the way that I sleep, the way that I stress, the way stress affect me. Mm-hmm. You know, I still got stress, but the way stress affect me much different. The way my body feel, the way when I'm full that I feel compared to before when I was full with things that was not vegan. I feel like the food that I eat is much cleaner. You know, I'm more like a plant-based 80-90% of the time.
Yep.
I mean, I enjoy all type of vegetable, all type of things. You know, I enjoy going to exotic, vegan restaurant that I know all over the place. You know, I'm always looking for a place. I go to cities and town. I look for vegan place, and and I've been doing that for 4 years now. So it's awesome.
Man, yeah. And you've seen the movie The Game Changers, I'm sure, as a fellow.
Which one?
Have you seen the movie The Game Changers?
I did not see that. No.
Well, okay. So everyone watched.
I heard about that. I didn't.
Yeah, I know you don't watch a lot of movies and news and stuff like that, but that's okay. Check out on Netflix The Game Changers.
Yes.
If you have a moment, it's about an hour and a half. It's produced by Jackie Chan and Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's a documentary about high performance athletes on plant-based diets.
Yes.
Check that out. Learn a little bit about it. It'll blow your mind.
No,
well,
awesome.
I got to say, Herby, this has been phenomenal. If there's anything I left out, please jump in now. But for anyone that is watching this episode and you think somebody can get a lot out of this episode, that's thinking about their own business, thinking about jumping in, wondering where to begin, take the link for this episode and share it with them and help them out. And Herby, I would love to have you on this show again at some point and to hear what the developments that are going on with Rise and just hearing that trajectory. If it's anything like Windwalker Group's trajectory, I know huge things are on the way. So
it's already happened. It is even going to be bigger than Windwalker's trajectory. So I can't wait to come back to your show and tell you about Rise Together. I think it's a phenomenal organization with phenomenal people and wonderful partners. So it's gonna be great. And I thank you, Nick, for the opportunity to sharing your platform with me and allow me to tell my stories, and hopefully that will connect with other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And please, everyone, check out the Windwalker Group and check out Rise Together. You can easily find them. They're all over the internet. Check out other interviews with Herby. Learn from him. Understand where he comes from. Understand his foundation for entrepreneurship and business and interacting with people and providing the customers the most that he can give. And think of unlimited possibilities. That's what it's all about.
Yes.
Herby, thank you so much. This has been awesome. Can't thank you enough. And let's connect soon.
I would love to do that, Nick. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care. Take care, everyone.
Okay, bye.